So far, I've been pretty happy with the changes the FF7 Remake project has been making when it comes to the original story. I think this is a big chance for Square Enix to fix many of the narrative flaws that plagued the original game and allow them to flesh out characters that lacked development in 1997. With that being said, being able to recapture the emotional crux of the game with the same impact of the original is not an easy task. The biggest question at stake, whether Aerith lives or dies in this version, had to be answered. But Square took the cowardly approach, an overly ambiguous ending sequence that took away some of the most impactful moments from the original scene. There was certainly a way to allow Aerith to live while maintaining the quality and integrity of the original, but Rebirth failed to deliver on this front. One of the things that I was most upset about was that they took away Cloud's monologue from the original. It was the first major moment where Cloud completely stood up to Sephiroth and broke away from his puppeteering, his biggest moment of emotional agency in our time with Cloud's character. There's something powerful in the way he cuts off Sephiroth and pours out his anger and sorrow over Aerith's murder. It's heart-wrenching, and the way it's executed makes Sephiroth, who's normally portrayed as an overpowered maniacal villain, as fairly laughable. Cloud humbles Sephiroth in the midst of his ridiculous ramblings about his evil plan to become God by literally telling him to shut up. Cloud's emotions are even bigger and more powerful than Sephiroth's evilness, as they alone overshadow him. He's pointing out how stupid Sephiroth is for not being able to recognize the value of Aerith's personhood, of an individual's life. It's not even a very long moment, but Cloud's words are short and potent. Aerith will never laugh, cry, or get angry. What about my pain? Here, Sephiroth is pathetic, killing an innocent young woman in the most shameless way by stabbing her in the back. His obsession with his stereotypically villainous plan makes him look pitiful, and Cloud calls him out for it. This moment for me shows the height of Cloud's emotional development, and Rebirth completely misses this poignant dialogue. I understand that there are different intentions for the story with this project, but the focus on Cloud's emotional battle with his sense of self, as well as his deep relationship with Aerith, have obviously been integral parts of the narrative in this iteration of the story too. So why wouldn't they include this? In Rebirth, while Cloud cries holding Aerith's lifeless body, she reaches up and reassures him that it's okay. It hasn't been confirmed, but it seems like Square is implying that this could either be Aerith's spirit, or maybe Aerith from another world line. While I like this moment in theory, the intentional ambiguity and confusion of everything combined takes away the focus on the emotions and completely misses the mark for what Aerith's death is supposed to convey. After failing to include Cloud's dialogue and distracting the players with a multi-phase boss battle, the iconic lake scene is not shown either. Rebirth has no cutscene showing Aerith's body descending into the water. Instead, it's merely implied as the crew sit on the shore of the lake and cry. Cloud is the only one that can see what we can assume to be Aerith's spirit or Aerith from another world line. Frankly, I don't see why we're not allowed to watch Aerith's body fall in the lake. Rebirth seems to show that Aerith does get impaled by Sephiroth in Cloud's current world. Why can't her current body be dropped into the water and her spirit still be strong enough to talk to Cloud? It not only takes away the impact of her death, but also confuses the player. Is she dead? Is she alive? Is her spirit living on? Is it another Aerith?
What are you talking about? What's going on here?
The lake scene also felt like a proper funeral for Aerith, a chance to do her death true justice. It doesn't feel this way in this one. The emotions were already interrupted by a million-part final boss battle, and we can't even have a funeral for our world's Aerith that we spent 120 hours or more with over the course of 2 games? I mean, come on. I'm assuming they did this to play into the chance that she's still alive, but I'm not sure why that would matter in this case, since the whole team, besides Cloud, seem to think that she's dead and have no idea that Aerith is still communicating with him somehow. Maybe if we were only seeing things from Cloud's viewpoint, it would make sense to leave it out, but the other party members' perspectives are clearly shown. Also, besides the inherent emotional significance and symbolism of Aerith's body floating to the bottom of the lake, this scene is so iconic that it's a shame we couldn't see it remade with modern graphics. Square really did not think of what the fans would want with this one. The thing is, I'm not even opposed to having the remake project keep Aerith alive, so long as they go about it the right way. There's still a way for Aerith's near-death experience to be the catalyst for Cloud's emotional development and motivation for defeating Sephiroth. However, what we're shown in Rebirth doesn't seem like it will fulfill this. At the very end of the game, there are a few cutscenes showing Cloud interacting with what seems to be Aerith's spirit. I'm not really sure. None of the other party members can see her, as they still are mourning her loss. The idea of Cloud being able to see Aerith doesn't bother me so much as the fact that Cloud doesn't seem shaken by this at all. He doesn't seem confused, upset, joyous, emotional, or anything. Maybe there's a good reason why the developers decided to do this and we won't know why till the next game, but it doesn't sit right with me that Cloud would seem so okay after this entire sequence of events, especially since Cloud's clear endgame motivation for killing Sephiroth in the original was Aerith and his realization of how important her life was. Square isn't at all clear about what is actually going on here, and it sparked debate in the fandom. It's always been obvious since the original game that Aerith is the most pivotal character in the story, so I wish they treated the death scene with clearer motivation. I worry that the developers would rather confuse the fans to keep them talking than maintain the integrity of the story, but I'm not going to completely write them off yet. Final Fantasy games have always been a bit over the top and confusing. Even the original Final Fantasy VII is. So they might be able to prove me wrong with the final part. Who knows? Thanks for watching. I plan on making a video about Aerith and Cloud's romance in Rebirth, but it's a very long project that will take a while to complete. I expect other videos to come out in the meantime, so please stay tuned and like and subscribe.